Hello, and welcome to Emperor of the Fading Suns, and welcome to Playing Hardball. This is an ancient title and of quite some significance, and we shall learn in a moment why. Let's watch the introduction. So we see a stargate of some sort.
Humanity has lived among the stars in darkness. Humans reached the stars long ago, building a republic of high technology and universal emancipation. Then they fought over it, squandered it, and finally lost it. Now a new dark age has descended upon humanity, for the greatest of civilizations has fallen, leaving ignorance and fear scattered among the ruins of many worlds. Even the stars are dying. Then from the ashes of our ruin, Vladimir halted our decline. Proclaimed emperor by popular decree, he united the known worlds of human space under his cunning and charismatic rule. Vladimir created the Great Charter, declaring how the powers of rulership would be divided and how his successors would be elected. 5 scepters from Mother Church, protector of our souls. 5 for the Merchant League, heralds of our past. And 5 for the noble houses, holders of our future. But each of these powers wished to rule it in their own way, and schemed to gain complete power at any price. Vladimir's military might convinced the noble houses to concede his rule, for they could not stand in battle before this master tactician. The Merchant League, last remnants of the Second Republic, made little pretense of their disdain for the Charter of Vladimir, but they accepted his rule nonetheless. Fearful of his popularity among the people, the Patriarch of the Universal Church accepted Vladimir's rule on the condition that the Church present him the crown, thus ensuring their ritual role in approving all his successors. Vladimir's coronation as the first emperor of the known worlds took place on Byzantium Secundus, which had been declared the imperial throne world. In the year 4550 AD, Vladimir crowned himself with his own hands and died. An agonizing death at the hand of unknown powers. With Vladimir's death, his great union fell apart. Noble house turned on noble house, igniting a war for the spoils of Vladimir's empire. The commonwealth of humanity was shattered, overcome by iron-fisted feudal lords. As the suns fade, so dies humanity's hope.
The Emperor of the Fading Suns. So this was a very ambitious project back in the day. It was published in 1997, as a PC game 1 year roughly after the role-playing game Fading Sun came out in 1996, and it is a game inspired by 3 grand titles. The Dune books, yeah, we know everything about these things, the history of course. Dune of 1967 and the further novels from the 1970s and 80s. Also we recall Warhammer, that was published firstly in 1987, and then Panzer General in 1994. So, and we are going to have a look. This is just the demo, but we will play the first election cycles. It's pretty cool. We shall see. Yeah, and this game is a mix, so to speak, of this sci-fi background with some fantasy elements, of course, and on hex fields. And let's have a look. So we cannot load anything, but let's actually... The music is pretty cool, isn't it? So we are going to look around a bit, and then this is going to be another short mini-series, I guess. So I will make this a number of shorter videos and put them into a playlist. And for the beginning, let's start a new one here. So we are taking historical. You could also have the little galaxy in a random way. So the thing is, like, you can also play this game with friends. And we are going to look at all the houses, the noble houses. So that's the inspiration from Dune, so to speak. So, and let's start here with Li Halan. We have our brain here, and we're just looking at it. But let's have ridiculous. So there's a plague happening. Planets can rebel. We are getting combat reports and so on. I'm going back. We are just looking at the planets now, playing. So the thing is, here we can, let's take Celestra here. Celestra is okay. So, and the thing is, like, depending on the difficulty level, we are getting several of these traits here, the positive traits, or we can buy more by choosing a negative one. And at this point, like, let's be insane. That lowers our production across the board. But we have noble scholars, let's say, that increases the food yields, right? So like that. We're just looking at the planet now. So in the beginning, there's also a research tree here. And here we have a first impression of our home planet. This is the little galaxy here. And we can start our research. Let's take microbiology, hospitals, pharmaceuticals, genetics and xenobiology, or physics, energy physics, mega chassis and composite armor. Or maybe let's research that one. So the thing is, so there is a patriarch of the church. There are different factions here. Let's go through this. This is Byzantium. This is what we just learned. This is where the seat of empire is residing. So, and each noble house that we just saw has a fort on Byzantium. This here, that's Byzantium, the core of the human galaxy, so to speak, or the human empire, or the former empire, because there is no emperor. And in Byzantium, there can be an imperial regent, and the person who is imperial regent twice, I think that's the game rule, will become emperor. And then obviously we can imagine that none of the noble houses, including ourselves, want to see anybody else becoming imperial regent or be imperial regent twice in a row, right? So we don't want them to be emperor. So, and there are different positions within the empire. The garrison commander of Stigmata, which is over here. So that's, so to speak, a world that is blocking an area, Chernobog, Daishan, and Absolution, where a terrifying race of monstrosities is residing. Like they are actually all over the the galaxy. You can find them on all planets. They can infest all planets, but only in smaller numbers. So it's we can get control of them. But here things are pretty hard. So we don't know anything about those planets because we've not been there. But looking at diplomacy, there are these different factions to the noble houses. We've got the League of Traders, yeah, and we can also ask them for something. The Church, yeah, so there's some relevance to our own faith, and the Vow, which are some aliens, but they are rather passive. Byzantium. As we can see, this here, there's the palace. Who controls the palace on a world? Controls the world itself and gets the taxes. But here on Byzantium, each noble house has their little fort with quite some forces there, armor legions. And here we can see these guys here. They are certainly inspired by Warhammer and the Space Marines, I think. But there are also other forces here. However, on Byzantium, this seat of empire, fighting is not allowed between the houses, so that's why we couldn't attack them. Yeah, can we go there? Like if we are choosing these guys here, for example, could we go there?
Unit spotted. Unit spotted.
Combat is restricted on Byzantium too until someone has made a claim to the Emperor's crown. Until that time, only spies, submarines, and stealth ships are permitted to engage in combat. So that's the thing. Let's go back. Oh, and now we're sitting in the swamp. Yeah, so, and the cool thing is, there are really a lot of different units. Here they've got 2 destroyers there, and the fort can build certain units. So here we could actually make a spy if we had some electronics here. So there are also a number of different resources, but also not too many. So I feel that there's a pretty good balance here. And this one being a fort, we can build all the troop types here that we have researched yet. Officer Corps, for example. But for these guys, we also need electronics. So yeah, so that's the thing here. That's what happens on Byzantium. And there will be elections. The noble houses have votes, as do the merchants and the church have. Let's look at our home planet that's here in Kish. We have a very small fleet. I think all the houses have the same starting position. So we've got 1 Vlad cruiser here. That's a cruiser, not dreadnought or something, and 2 little frigates. Yeah. Plus some assault landers and a bulk hauler there. So, and then on the planet Byzantium, we had a normal transporter freighter here, this one. That can transport up to 2 units, and the bulk freighter can transport up to 4 units, but can't land in the countryside without damages. So that's where the assault landers come in. Kish is the home planet of our noble house, and we can see every planet has a hex-field based, a full planet hex-field based map, and we can see we have some areas under control. So we control this planet as the noble house, and here we see something special, the scepter. That's what they told us about in the introduction. These scepters are our vote, so to speak, grants 1 vote. Yeah, and we don't want the enemies to actually take them over. However, we could also steal them from the other noble houses if we were at war. Like we can't look into their area right now. Yeah, but in principle we could steal those, and then we get to vote. Yeah, and in the long term, it is quite likely that we will have to take them by force. So we can cast our votes here. So, and then there are these different positions, and 1 noble house can be appointed to do one of these here. So Stigmata, that's the garrison commander, so that's pretty powerful. Here on Stigmata, we are going to, when we are really playing, so we are just looking at all the noble houses and their home planets, and I'm just explaining the the houses a little bit, and like lore-wise as well. And then we're going to play, but not as the Lihalan here, but someone else. Yeah, but here. So Stigmata, that's a huge world. They've got a huge garrison also with advanced troops and a lot of production capability here. But they have to hold the line. Yeah, there's also the Empire fleet. It's they've got some pretty advanced ships, but humanity lost the ability to build those. Yeah, because we have been thrown back in our development due to the civil war that is raging in the Empire. And I feel that's a pretty cool setting. That's a very cool setting. So, and we have to do a lot of micromanagement here, however, and that's one of the problems with this game. Yeah, so they were a little bit ahead of their time, and the technological possibilities they had back then. But what we see here, so we've got different city types, and we've got one engineer here. Let's put this guy here, and if we mouse over the different resources, we can see the numbers where we would build an appropriate building, what we would get. So food-wise, if we were to build a farm, there are also better buildings later on that we can research. Here in our lab, that's the lab, we can click on tech, and there we can choose the stuff. We could also actually do diplomacy and then exchange the techs, yeah, to get ahead a bit quicker. And the engineer, we have to use the orders up here. Build a city. So in here we can choose the things. And for a lot of them, we missed the tech at this point, but we can research that. So in the arboreum here, so that's more or less, something like a sealed, it's like a sealed farm or something, yeah, some form of ecosphere or so that has a higher yield, as we can see here, significantly higher yield depending on the location. So that's one priority that I would always want if you're playing the game. And then different resource production facilities, factories can produce mechanical units, especially. Yeah, the starport can produce starships. Every planet should have a church, because that's also something that makes us liked better by the church. And yeah, you also want to have a number of production cities. So like this factory here, for example, let's build something. So here in the factory, we can build different tanks of this basic design that we know about. And also air units here. And we can see they have a pretty interesting and quite elaborate fighting system here of different phases. So for example, artillery, that's what the first round of fighting starts with. So long range indirect fire, yeah, and then it gets closer, and depending on the here it says the round order of precedence is 6. Yeah, oh no, actually sorry, air units are attacking first, then the indirect fire, and then I think like we've got direct fire, that's round order of precedence is 7, close is 8. Yeah, so you can imagine like getting closer. The closer you get, the further it goes, like this. So, and there are special units here. For example, in the palace, we've got our nobles. If a noble house loses all the nobles, these guys here, so those are our family members, so to speak, then the game is also lost. And the thing is, you can't get more nobles unless you find other nobles, maybe rogue nobles, and make them surrender or so. It can happen, but it's more a random thing. So in principle, you are stuck with the 5 beginning nobles that you have. 1 noble on Byzantium, and you have to have 1 there to cast the votes. Yeah, we had 1 here. Let's look at Byzantium again. There's our noble here. And as we can see here, the noble provides stack combat and other bonuses, and is also dueling high-ranking units during combat. So that have a ranking of at least 6 or above. So, and this guy has a ranking of 8, as we can see here. Yeah, so he's not fighting. Yeah, he wouldn't fight with these with all these units here. By the way, what's with the Power Legion? They've got 0. No, wait a second. The ranking. No, that must be. Oh no, here. There it says here. Rank is here. The rank. During combat, lower ranked units are targeted before higher ranked units, except duelists who prioritize targeting high ranking units first. So they've got rank 4. And then what's this here? They've got, rank, like this one has rank 8. And that's also a thing because they, no? No, sorry, this is, I have to right click. So this here, rank 8, and they have rank 8, and this one here has rank 7, PTS missile launcher. So this is, there are also a lot of interesting things going on. So for example, you can use a ship to bombard, like for example here our Vlad cruiser. The Vlad cruiser has the ability to bombard from orbit. I mean, we are going to look at this in more depth when we are really playing the game. Right now, I just want to explain the concepts and look at the planets, yeah? And we are doing this, but let's, for the sake of it, let's build a city that we don't have yet. And actually, we have all of them. Okay, no, we don't need to do it right now. So, in the factory, to get back to this factory is on land, so we can't build any naval units. But here we could build the stuff that is according to our tech level at this point. So regular, low-tech planes, Atmos fighter, dive bomber, and strategic bombers. But of course we need electronics for them, and we can't produce them yet. And we don't know how. We don't have the tech. Now this guy orders build a city. Electronics would be this here. And for those we need 10 energy and 5 trays. So, and our mines are producing trays here. Sometimes there is a special amount of trays to be had in this mine. Let's look at this mine here. Oh, here we can look, right click like this. Here it says, this one harvests 62 metal and 24 trays. So, Li Halan starts out with a pretty good general situation. So while we are here on a desert planet and ring-a-ding-ding, it reminds us of Dune, of course. They have a lot of metal deposits and stuff, so that's one advantage. But of course, and they have some food production here because they've got some arable land, but not so much. So their food production is relatively limited, I guess. Yeah, as we can see here, by the way. So the food, but it's not so bad. Yeah, I find it's not so bad. But they might run into problems once they expand. So, and what you want to do is to take control of your home planet as quickly as possible and then expand. So there are other planets all around, right? So that's the situation. So we are just looking at them now. Then we're going back to the main menu. And then we are looking at Hazard. Like this. Next. Well, let's do it easy so we can see what changes. Hazard. So this here, the Li Halat, they are orthodox. Here. So, my lord, to become emperor, you must first be elected regent. At that point, declare yourself emperor. If you manage to win 2 successive elections, the other royal houses will submit to your rule. However, should all of our nobles die, our house will become extinct. So the thing is, like, we need to be regent twice, yeah, in succession, and then they will attack us when we are declaring ourselves emperor. So that's the thing, yeah. And then we have to be prepared for that. So here they are starting out with some stuff here. Armor bonuses for noble is in your stack. Oh yeah, that's actually nice. So let's just look into this. Research tech. Oh, here, did I turn on the... Yeah, okay, no. We don't want to read the tutorial right now. We're taking this here, it doesn't matter. We just want to look at the house and the planet. So, and the new patriarch is Orthodox. We can look at some more aspects in the different factions here. So, for example, every planet has a church. Oh, they don't start with the church here. No, here it is. There. And a clergy. So, and we can choose the sect. And every noble house has their own sect, of course. And diplomacy. So the sect here, it says how many, what's our relationship. Yeah. And like at the moment, things are okayish. Also, the more people of a certain faith, and you can imagine with an Orthodox patriarch, yeah, who is probably not looking at our sect too kindly, but also not too badly, we can have certain diplomatic advantages. So the church has 5 votes at the moment, and we could ask them for their votes at the next election. Give us all the votes, please, and we will do. What do? We could sign a holy writ, or we could give their sect religious control of our planet or so, yeah, and then change it. But of course, people don't like such changes. That would mean that our general loyalty might drop. Yeah, so loyalty is a thing here, and these guys, our guys, they are very loyal. Yeah, right now, but it could be hampered. So, and the Hazard are starting out on a very nice planet here, as we can see. So they've got some metal, yeah, fertile land. So that's a very nice planet. And they even have an ancient arboreum here, which is producing really a lot of food. 88 food and 8 exotica even. Exotica is rather rare on many planets, not all. Oh, and now that they've got some oceans, they also start out with naval units here. Naval transports. Okay. So, I mean, like, in my opinion, you don't need that really, because you can just use the spaceships, these here, to land and then transport your troops. But of course, it's safer to use ships if the enemy has units that can shoot at spaceships, and that's where we come in to these PTS missile launchers. So they've got a pretty long range. I'm not entirely certain how much. Possibly 6. Yeah, like it's certainly more than 4 tiles or so. And if a starship comes down, then they will automatically shoot. And there are other units like this, like a meson cannon, for example. So this is like slightly mobile. They can only move for 2 tiles per turn. Here we can see them here. Yeah. On a road, it costs 1 movement point, and then depending on the terrain, it costs more. And that's why it's always risky to use a spaceship. Yeah. And well, in their case, they have the factory here. But if we had a factory, let's actually do this here. So with this engineer, let's move here. And then you orders build a city. You can use you can make a factory here, building, yes. And then in this factory, now we can build naval units because it's on the ocean. Battleships, destroyers, a carrier that can refuel our naval units here, the plane. So we've got strategic bombers, dive bombers, Atmos fighters. Yeah, we already saw those. And that's pretty cool. So, and then every planet has some rogue factions. So we know from orbit, we see there's a town here, for example. There's one here and so on. And there can also be ruins, old ruins from our own human civilization, but also alien civilizations. Yeah, we can find those. And of course, it takes a while to build an engineer that could, and it's also rather expensive, that could build a new city. As we can see here, 100 food and 100 metal. So it is actually rather a bit quicker to take over the other cities on our planet or other planets by force. Yeah. But of course, that means we have to fight. So in every planet, every major planet at least, has one agora. That is the merchant guild. And here we can buy stuff and sell stuff as well. That can be very convenient. And every planet also has the Imperial Eye, that's this one here. The Imperial Eye, which keeps an eye on the noble houses, and they've got this fort here, yeah, with different units. So let's bring a militia legion over there. Let's have a look.
Unit spotted. Unit spotted.
And then we can also see how cool and elaborate this is, because every unit has a certain spotting and camouflage level. And the higher the camouflage, the more difficult it is to spot them, of course. So now we got here. And we see, okay, the Imperial Eye has 2 of these PTS missile launchers and some others, like artillery here. And they are also even elite units. They've got experience of an elite level, which we can see here with the Golden Eagle sign there. So, and that's all pretty cool. So, but you can imagine, like later when you have many of these cities here, it can also become very tedious, micromanaging-wise. But some people love it, me included. So, in the fort, like these guys, they are starting with some tanks. But we have the same low-tech level. But we've got some Wolverines here. Those are tank killers, medium tanks. The Wolfen Smiters, they are tracked artillery, and then regular towed artillery. Yeah, so different stuff. Some ships here we could just sail over there. Yeah, so that's their planet. So this would be probably a more balanced planet, yeah. Not too much of everything, but something of everything. So which is rather decent. However, Aragon is actually starting out between Liegheim, Byzantium, yeah, and Holy Terra is up here. That's the Holy Terra is the seat of the church. Yeah, and Terra like the Earth. That's our planet here in the future. So they have a nice planet, but their immediate expansion possibilities are limited in comparison to other noble houses. The worst in that regard is probably Severus, because Virillia and Vau, we recall the name Vau, that's these guys here, the aliens. They are down here. So, yeah, so they are here. Also, well, actually, maybe Istakr with the yellow ones here. That's Hakim. They have it probably worst, I guess. Malignatius is a free planet, so White tells us there is no one in charge of the palace on that planet. While Grey means some rogue faction, some rebels are under control. So, let's go back and look at some other noble house. Decados. Yeah, so Hassad, they are more like passionate people. Lihalan, they have a history of, like immoral deeds, but they became orthodox and now are very honorable and try to make up for their past transgressions. Well, Decados, the name tells us they are kind of decadent. Let's have the beginner level.
House Decados.
Yeah, so we can see here, Nikolai here, like you have to have a certain attitude to put all these rings into your meat. There, and oh yeah, they are decadent and they have inbreeding. Has caused your house to become ridiculed. Rebellions are more frequent. Oh. But they do have noble scholars. They have mercantile savvy, get better prices in trade with the League, ancient documentarian bioengineering, and in psychosocial engineering. They've got an internal security apparatus to thwart rebellions, and they are battle masters. Okay. So you're probably like on the lower difficulty settings, you probably get a better impression of what the house is supposed to be. And these guys, they've got a special jungle world. We'll have a look at that very quickly, or very soon. And they start out, yeah, with some advanced knowledge already on this difficulty level. And they are like, let's take, well, this would be the Tracker Legion. Let's take genetics. Genetic manipulation, so here, yes, so like that. New patriarch is orthodox, yep, so let's have a look. So Severus is down here. Also, well, all the noble houses are exactly 2 jumps away from Byzantium. Oh no, they're actually further away. 3 jumps, and they are very far away from Holy Terra because they tend to do some illegal research, so they are a little bit decadent, yeah. But on this exotic world, we can see they've got a lot of exotica here. Lots of exotica. They also have one of these ancient arboreums. They don't know how to build more of those. And it's also a quite wet world over here. And they also start with some ships. They've got destroyers here. So, and there might be naval battles depending on the rebels that are active here and how quick we could take control of the planet or let the rebels do their stuff. And the rebels are actually doing stuff. However, that's one of the criticisms in the game. The AI is very bad, unfortunately. So the game would really shine if you could play it with other humans. But that may take a very long time on the other hand, yeah? So, because if you imagine, you know, moving around all these units here on the hex field in a late game, that will take a while. Or they only come with one of the PTS missile launchers, huh? So the thing is, but they start with Chem Shock Legions, the Grimsons. So these guys, and the sect is Escatonic, so that's the House Decados, so they are into genetic manipulation, which is, some of these techs are considered heretic by the church. So it can happen that the church is coming around, lands and destroys your lab, and bans the tech. Yeah? And the more banned tech you use, the worse you're standing with the church. So here. So right now they don't dislike us or anything, so it doesn't say here. But that can change. And with the church, we could excommunicate someone or proscribe a tech, for example. Yeah, which one? And that, of course, would be something that gives one of our rivals an advantage while we don't use it or have it or something, yeah, usually. So, and they come with the spies. Let's look at Byzantium. I don't know, they don't have a spy here, but I think there's a noble house that starts with the spy on Byzantium. But the spy is actually not so bad. We could actually use the spy to murder one of the nobles, of one of our rival factions, for example, this guy here. Yeah, so, because we just learned before that spies could actually engage in battle. And we can see this guy has a very high camouflage and is also very agile. By the way, how easily can a unit be hit during combat? So they are pretty hard to hit. Yeah, by the way, let me just look at something. Like the PTS missile launcher. That has very low agility, but armor is 126. So that's the thing here. So this thing, it's like a fortification, a mobile fortification, so to speak. Yeah, a rocket bunker. So, and we can see depending on your home planet, so they are not so good with the metal, as we can see here. We are not even starting. Are we starting with the mine? No, we don't even have a mine here, which is very bad. So looking at the metal, yeah, this would run out very quickly. So for them, the priority would be to build a mine somewhere. But they also have a lot of energy here. There, for example, there's a special energy field here. Although, unfortunately, the thing is, the mines and farms, they are harvesting around them for 2 tiles. Which means, as we can see here, so 1, 2 from this farm here, or there aren't even units in there. But from this farm, we would harvest for 2 tiles, and then the next unit, the next city, could only be here because it also harvests 2 tiles. So the closest would be there, which is why the numbers start only here, not here on the river. Yeah. So actually, the positioning is a good or bad thing. So, and I'm not sure if you can actually destroy a building. Well, let's try this, by the way. Maybe there's an option here with the engineer. So engineer, you go here, and do we have an order? Raise. Oh yeah, here. Raise the city. We could do that, okay. We could do that. For example, to replace farms with arboreums later on. You would want that probably, but also maybe to free up the resources. Because like thinking about the positioning of your cities is also very important, because you can have a very good farm, for example, in the middle, but then you're blocking off everything else all around, as we can see here. So we cannot build anything. And then it could be much better if you have two farms that have a lower yield, but combined they are producing way more, of course. And then having two cities also gives you more tax revenue. And looking at the house, here we can see we can increase the tax or decrease it, and this would also increase or decrease our unit's loyalty here. The tithe we have to pay for the church, so the church won't like it at all if we are not paying them anything. And we can imagine that they will send their fleet at some point if we do not pay what is rightfully theirs, at least how they think it. And for the units, of course, we want them to be paid well, so they are motivated. Yeah, that's the thing here. So, and here we can look at the stuff that we have to pay, all in all. So and we indeed, oh no, we've got we've got 3 PTS missile launchers, 2 of which are on Byzantium, and we have only 1 here on our home planet. Okay, yeah, so that's a jungle world, and let's look at the other historical. Let's look at Al Malik. And you have an impression why you probably think why I'm not going to Hawkwood now, because we are going to play with Hawkwood. But let's look at Al Malik first. So here they are. Let's go with beginners. Hakim. Yeah, and they are roughly inspired by human cultures, of course. So these guys, they are more like the Oriental cultures probably. They have enlightened nobility, increases research, administration, increases tax revenues, better organized government, mercantile savvy, you get better prices in trade with the League and a friend in the League, so they are also good traders. And they don't have any negatives, interestingly, but we could take something here, yeah, to get something else. So, but they are not the best fighters, apparently. So, yeah. So let's research something. So they also don't start with any knowledge yet, so no ancient databases or so. So they are here on Istakhr. However, if you think of Oriental cultures, you would usually think of deserts, right? And they start out on a very nice planet here as well. Maybe the nicest one initially, because they have a lot of metal. They've got nice food here with the. They even have an arboreum already. Yeah. Looking here, so they are producing, like, by the way, right-clicking gives us an impression, so we are already at a surplus of 43 points. Yeah. 43 units of food every turn. So that means we can nearly make 1 engineer every 2 turns this way, while starting out with how much metal? 52. On this planet every turn. That's pretty good. So, and they start out with infantry legions. We also have some tanks here. 2 of these missile launchers, but no ships, as we are not really here close to the ocean or so. And actually the landmass is completely connected, actually. So there are no continents, but just one supercontinent here. Yep, it's all connected. Okay, that's why they don't come with ships. Looking around. Yeah, okay, they just have some militia. Can we build something? Probably not. Let's look at the factory building. No, just regular tanks and the planes. So the thing is, you can, interestingly enough, you can build everything from these regular or basic units like artillery, anti-tanker, and anti-aircraft, and the militia in every city. These 4 here. And also 1 engineer, or an engineer, in every city. That's like... I think they shouldn't have done it like that, but... It can be very convenient. Yeah, and you can expand very quickly, but I think that was actually maybe not the best design choice. But here we are. So, yeah, so we had a look at their planet. Yeah, so it's not so bad. And then let's go. Maybe wait a second. And then, yeah, now that we are so close here, let's play 1 round. So we are flying here with our ships. Let's look at Stigmata because they are so close here. Here, and here we can see this here. We've got units for the Imperial Fleet. So they've got a Cadiz Dreadnought. The Imperial Fleet. So they are blocking any hostile forces from getting through of Stigmata. So that's one of our main concerns. There are aliens. Some would say maybe they are even products of bad research gone bad, human research gone bad, the symbiotes, and they are luring here. And we shall have a look at them. These are our ships. And then Stigmata, they also have something. A Meson star base. Now that is cool. There are also other star bases later on that we can research. And the Stigmata garrison comes with their own ships, as we can see. Also quite some transport ships here. These are destroyers. Okay, so and here we can also see range space. Can hit all but foot space, mech, and underwater units. So they can, if they have the ability of ranged space attack, like the cruiser, for example, the Vlad cruiser, then they can bombard from orbit. And that's pretty cool. So, yeah, here. So, and then let's have a look at Byzantium. So they are over here, and we recall the others had their little forts here, right? So, and we don't have a spy here, but we also come with the armor legion. So I think it's all the same. Like everybody comes with these power legions here. We don't know how to produce them anymore, but I guess the Emperor gave them to us. Yeah, and they are sitting here. So, to make sure that our aristocratic rights are being respected. There is a battleship here and a destroyer. So, and these are Empire forces, but they are kind of neutral at the moment and they don't do anything. But we would get them if we became Emperor. So, or like I guess even Regent or so. Not sure about it though. No, probably not. I think we have to destroy them. Like, let's go here and have a look. Can we go closer? Yep, there we saw something. Here, the enemy also has forces there. Oh yeah, here they've got Shock Legion. Shock Legions. There. They're even better. And here, oh yeah, here, and they've got some heavy tank killers. And the massive mega tank. So, there's quite some advanced stuff. Yeah. Also, like you could say on a physically based tech level, but also on the mutating or mutation based tech level, which is why you need biochems, yeah, chemicals and then biochems to produce them. Serum, steel, here wetware to upgrade your people cybernetically, monopoles, gems. Singularities for spaceship drives. Yeah, all of these things here. But I feel like it's not too much, but also not too little. So I think they actually made some good choices here with the resources. It's a lot of fun, I find. Then let's go back to the main menu. I think we have seen... Oh, no, sorry. We will do one turn here with them. Because I want to look here. Let's do one. So here, ending the turn. We don't move any forces. Research of physics has been completed. Yeah, okay. So mega chassis. So here we could do this PTS fusion cannon and the PTS meson cannon. These are also the anti-orbit weapons. So like our rocket launcher, the one, which is why it's called mega chassis. Yeah. And we would actually expect that we could build some spaceship with mega chassis, right? Having some experience with a big structure. So there's also an archive, by the way, where we could find military units here. This is all that they have. A violator, and what district of Byzantium Secundus is not wrecked by the roar of that abominable engine called the Violator, who can sleep soundly of nights, knowing that at any moment their tower might be breached and brought down about their heads, that the last sound they will hear before incineration is the hissing crack, as the very air retreats in horror from the Violator's greedy arcing beam. For that thing we need energy physics and composite armor to get closer to this technology. So, yeah. So lots of stuff. Very cool. Here we are. So here they've got the... Oh, they flew away. So all the ships are gone. Imperial fleet is staying put though. So and here we can... Now we can look at the planet here. And we can see there are some cities here. Yeah. And let's land. So we've got 2 frigates. So you guys flying here. We can land on the planet. It is dangerous if they have something that could shoot us. And if we are actually landing on an army or so, then we would engage combat immediately. Let's land there. Aha. And we just saw something. Our frigate just lost health, as we can see here. So the health is at 78%. Well, we landed on open ground. It's still not good for these ships because they are not supposed to land there. But here we can see the Stigmata garrison force has a serum steel plant, and they've got some armor legion here to protect it from any symbiotes. We also see more armor legion here, so they are pretty already pretty high upgrade. 1 Atmos fighter, a Griffin, and they are the sect is Brother Battle. Actually. Oh, I didn't know that. So they've got their own sect. Yeah. So, and oh yeah, here, and they've got some Shock Legion as well. So, and these guys have to battle against the symbiotes. Maybe we can find some of them. For the sake. Oh yeah, there's a fort. It's also with an Atmos fighter, and they've got some ships here, destroyers, okay. And we have 3 movement points, so we could also land there, or rather fly up here. Again, let's have you guys. You're also launching into space again. Yeah, then let's do the following. So, we are flying to Absolution. Maybe there are some symbiotes we can find. No, there aren't, okay. But oh yeah, here. There we can see something. They brought some resources to the planet. So Absolution is a planet with a lot of little isles. And we can't... let's end the turn here. We just want to look at it. We have received a diplomatic request from Hassad. They want map info from Byzantium, and they want to give us their map info. No. Okay then, so ending the turn.
House Al-Malik.
There, the symbiotes have captured a city on Absolution. Which one? But here we can see them. Monsters, monstrosities. And let's look around. So, Absolution. Oh, they've got... Oh yeah, there's a hive. And they've got some gems here. Oh, it wouldn't be nice to own this island here with the gems. That would be very lucrative. And there we can see some symbiotes. A symbiote spitter, yeah? So this is a fighter equivalent. Yeah, so it flies. Like, I mean, it's some insect-like creature or so. The Shuffler. That seems to be a rather nasty bug-like creature that is possibly something like a tank that can also spit in the air or so. Tough armor. And an Archer that has indirect fire capability or spitting capability. So that is something like a rolling tank that can also fulfill an artillery role. So, and they are the symbiotes. This is their symbol here. And they've got hives. Yeah, and that's what they took. Okay, so, and that's the Al-Malik. So, and then let's have a look. Historical, like let's look at Hawkwood now on the beginner level. Beginner, just to have a look.
House Hawkwood.
And then, let's have Cedric. So, and they have an enemy in the church. Aha, the church likes us less. Okay, noblesse oblige. Doing good works for your subjects increases their loyalty at the beginning of the game. Rule of law increases loyalty at the beginning of the game. Charismatic leadership, plus 20 to planet unit loyalty if there's a noble present in the palace. Ancient documentarian, we have knowledge of advanced physics. Aha, and we are battle masters. Armor bonus for noble is in your stack. That seems pretty good. So, let's have a look at their stuff. It doesn't matter here. Let's take microbiology. So, new patriarch is orthodox. That's what always happens in the beginning. They are starting out on Delphi. And I like this planet a lot, despite it being a frozen world, as we can see here. So, the oceans are frozen, and that means, of course, that our food production is rather low. And we are starting with eating more than we are actually producing ourselves, which is, of course, bad. However, we can see that we have quite some gems here. And our metal is 0. We don't have a mine. So, that means that our engineer should most likely, let's go here, we start with an engineer. We have 2 missile launchers. We are also starting with 2 Atmos fighters here. Yeah. And some tanks. Also scout tanks here. Greyhounds, which is very useful, but they are also rather easily lost. Well, and we can see there are quite some rebels here in the icy wastes of this planet. But I like this beginning a lot, because I kind of like the frozen planet background. It's kind of cool. So, and then let's go. We've got an officer here, by the way, otherwise med tanks. Just to show it to you, so they've got the same options. They could actually build some ships here. Yeah, I mean, I'm not certain. Like, I've never built any ships. But if they can actually sail around the frozen area, but it's, yeah, we don't need any ships here. Yeah. Because they can't sail through. So, like, here it would make a little bit more sense, maybe, if we were here and then sail around and bombard this town or something, but it's not necessary. Yeah. But we could, of course, build a ship and then transport it off to another planet. Yeah. We could do that, I guess. Oh, and yeah, we could build the PTS missile launcher here in the beginning already. But it costs 20 electronics, and otherwise just the regular tanks and so on. Oh, and the gunship. So, yeah, they are starting out at easy, or the beginner's level, with more tech. So the gunship. An attack helicopter here. Although it's kind of, it doesn't look like it. No, it's not a helicopter. Yeah, it's a gunship, so, yeah. All pretty cool. The fort has only the regular stuff. Okay, so, yeah. That's that. And by the way, they don't come with an arboreum. They only have this puny little farm here, although it's very fertile over there. But let's look here. They are harvesting 97 food. So this would be worthwhile to replace this with an arboreum over there. Yeah, but we can see there's also fertile land here, or rather probably fishing grounds or so. But we can see they will have a tougher beginning. But at the same time, we can get the gems here and sell them to the League. And that would be my advice, actually, if you were to choose this aristocratic house. And also, they have pretty good expansion possibilities here. Although they are also rather close to Holy Terra. Which means they need to be careful what to do with the church. And by the way, here with the church, so they don't like them so much. Hesychast. So what? By the way, what is their sect? Looking around here. Church. What is our sect here? Amalthians. Diplomacy. Church. Amalthians is here. Ah, yeah, okay. Yeah, I mean, it looks like they are okay. They're doing okay. Hazy Justs, yeah. So, like, I mean, the game should actually provide maybe a little bit more, but I personally feel that the idea that they had back then in 1997, so long ago, is utterly awesome. Yeah, that, you know, they tried to bring in diplomacy, all of these different units here. Like, there's really a lot of stuff going on. With the whole space layer above all of it, yeah. And by the way, let's try something. Although no, we are doing it when we are playing the game. So, yeah, and I think we looked at enough at this point. Byzantium here, we've got the same thing. Yeah, power legions. On Byzantium, some food on this planet. Rather far away from any trouble here with the symbiotes. Yeah, and that's the game. And now we looked at most of the most important mechanics and stuff. And we are going to play as the Hawkwood, as House Hawkwood, in the next episode. Yeah, and that's pretty cool. I'm looking forward to this. And we get to play 2 election cycles. So, see you then. I hope you enjoyed this one and found it informative. See you in the next episode. I appreciate it if you click the like button if you found this one informative and maybe even entertaining. And as always, you're also heartily invited to subscribe to the channel and hit the bell to never miss an episode again of Playing Hardball. And as always, the comment section is all yours. See you next time. Bye-bye.